It is challenge time. So during our last shopping trip, I bought the two flash food bags and I bought the chicken thighs, which was off of what I was originally planning. I was just going to throw a chicken in the crock pot. But now I've got all those fabulously priced chicken thighs. Seriously, you can't get chicken thighs for that price, and I'm still kicking myself. I should have went back for more, but I don't need any. Curb it, Tammy, curb it. Okay, this is me telling me because I can see me in the camera saying curb it. All right, enough foolishness. Anyway, so the whole plan is I want to see what kind of meals I can make just by cooking a whole whack of chicken thighs and see where it takes us. Now, tomorrow's going to be our first meal. I'm thinking chicken pot pie, with some biscuits on top. Haven't decided 100% yet, but let's get the chicken in the crock pot because I want it cooked. And then when it's cold, I can get all the chicken off the bones. Let's start with the easy stuff, which is actually cooking the chicken. Okay, so just to remind you guys, I paid $6.69 for this package of chicken. Can you believe that? All right. And I'm literally just going to flop them in the crock pot. Ta-da! There we go. Move them around and kind of separate them up. How many are in here? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there's 9 of them in there. No, I lied. There's 10. Wow, not bad. All right. Let me go wash my hands. So the seasoning for these are going to be ridiculously easy because I don't know what flavors or what I'm doing yet. So we are adding some garlic and we're going to add a fair amount. I'm not going to lie. Because everything tastes good with garlic. That's probably maybe 1.5 teaspoons, give or take. We're going to put some onion powder in here. A couple of good spoonfuls. All right, we're taking the lid off the pepper. You know what that means. There we go. About a good 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And I grabbed the wrong salt. I only use the salt shaker when I'm just sprinkling a little bit like on a finished meal. And probably about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. There we go. And last, there's a good old cup of water. There we go. Actually, I think I'm going to put a little bit more water. I'm going to put 2 cups of water. There we are. Now I'm going to cook this on low for the next, let me see. It's 3 o'clock till, let's see, 3. We'll do 5 hours and we'll see where it takes us from there. If it's tender and falling apart, I'm going to shut it off and I'll let it get cold. If it's not quite tender yet, I'll cook it for about another hour. Alrighty, let's let this go. Alright, here is our chicken. So I got the roast pan because I want to see if I can get even more flavor out of these bones. But yeah, let's see how much chicken we're going to get out of these, right? I'll put the skin up there too for now, why not? All right, let's see what we can get off of all this chicken. There's a lot of chicken on these chicken thighs. Fred, look at this.
I think it'll break though.
Right, this is crazy. I honestly did not think there was this much meat on chicken thighs. You know that? I only got half of them done. I'm trying to take off the ugly spots too, the bristly bits.
Ugly, grisly bit.
Well, these are the little bones that I'm going to roast a little bit more. I'm going to pop in the oven with some onions and a couple of the wonky carrots and things. And I'm going to make some more chicken stock. Should I roast the skins too? Oh, the chicken skins, weirdo. Oh, that might make it a little bit too greasy and stuff, wouldn't it?
It does look a little bit.
Hey, that's good stuff, you know.
Maybe when it's heated and well disguised.
What do you mean well disguised?
Other stuff in it. You wouldn't want to drink that, I'm sure.
I tasted it. It's good. Thank you. Alrighty, guys. So, out of these 10 chicken thighs, look at the amount of chicken we got. That's my 4-cup little plastic measuring bowl. Look at that. Look at all the chicken. Ah! First of all, forgive how I look. It's 8 a.m., okay? I got so much more chicken than I intended. So now I was thinking we would get 3 meals out of these chicken thighs, but now I'm wondering if we're going to get 4. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of those parsnips, one of the red onions, and some of the thinner, not so pretty carrots. I'm going to put them on the roasting pan with these chicken thigh bones and see if I can yank even more flavor out of them for the chicken stock that's currently sitting in the fridge. All right. See you tonight when we make meal number 1. Okay, so I ended up with about 4 cups of stock. So what I did is I put that in the roast pan and I added probably about 5 cups of water because that stock was super concentrated. Turn the oven off. There we go. And here's our veggies and the chicken. Now, I put all the parsnips in here because, to be absolutely honest with you, I'm not a fan of parsnips. Never have been, but they also add some great flavor to soups and stews and stocks, so why not? And I also went into the freezer and I grabbed some garlic bulbs. So they're just gonna break apart in here. Let me get all this good stuff in the pot. There we go. Ooh, so there's some really good stuff on that paper. Let's see if we can work that off. Not the same way as, you know, deglazing a frying pan, of course, but if I can get some of this tastiness off the tin foil, that's all that matters. There we go. Not the best, but we got some of it. So now we're going to simmer this. There we go. Cook all this down and see how much fabulous chicken stock we can get for these recipes. Okay, so our stock has been simmering for a couple hours. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to strain it out. Well, I made a big mess of the stove, but that's okay. Once it cools down, I'll clean that up. But I got a little more than 8 cups of this beautiful stock. Gonna let it get cold and we'll skim off some of the fat. Oh, but I can tell you that tastes really, really, really good. Well, it is nowhere near dinner time yet, but I admit I want to see just how much of the pot pie filling these veggies will actually do. All right, let's get these onions in and start sweating them down. We're also going to be breaking out some of the peas in the freezer because, you know, any pot pie or stew is always better with peas. All right, so these are the veggies. We've got one of those potatoes, 2 of the carrots, and the little out of the 2 rutabagas. This guy was only about the same size as a good potato. That's actually a lot more veggies than I thought. Once I started cutting them up, it actually seemed like even more. There we go. All right, so let's pop the veggies in. Kind of give them a bit of a sweat down. Oops, lost a carrot. And I did cut them relatively small because the chicken is kind of shredded up a bit. So, all right, let me go get the peas. So here's the peas. Now these are vacuum sealed. So the whole plan was that when I open them, they just go into a freezer bag. Oh my gosh, I'm just gonna stop talking because it's not working. Now each of these bags have an estimate of about 2.5 cups. So, there we go. That many peas. That'll work. Oops, one escaped. Hold on. There we go. All right. This will just go right back in the freezer. All right, now the whole plan is this is all going to sit and cook with a couple of cups of our chicken stock. So, probably about 2.5, I think. There we go. And a little bit of thyme, because thyme and chicken just taste good together. So that's, I don't know, about 1/4 teaspoon. And a couple of little bay leaves, because I like bay leaves. What can I say? There we go. Now this does have to simmer for a bit. Don't forget the peas are frozen, so it's going to cool all this right down. Then we're going to thicken it up and put it in the baking dish. All right. I can tell you that the only things that came to us from the house are the peas. Wow. Who can, you know, those little flash food bags? They come in pretty handy. That is perfect. Now, I wanted it a stronger flavor, so I did put a stock cube in, just so you know. I'm going to leave that, I think, on the cutting board because it's all dirty on the bottom. I've got a tiny bit of stock left, but I'm going to put a little bit of water in here. And now we're just going to make a little bit of a slurry with some flour so we can thicken this up. There we go. And I did turn the temperature back down again as well. And all you eagle-eyed people in there have already noticed the chicken is not in yet. All right, let's grab the bay leaves before we forget them. Hot. All right, I'm gonna let this cook for a few more minutes just to kind of cook out the flour taste. All right, guys, so we're gonna put in about 1 cup of chicken. I'm not even gonna chop it up. There we go. Now I'm gonna let it simmer on this low temperature for a bit. This chicken will heat up and it'll actually start shredding up. Here we go. There's the filling for our chicken pot pie, and the only salt that's in here is the salt we cooked the chicken in and the stock, and that 1 stock cube, which really doesn't have a ton of salt in it. One thing we are going to add is some fresh ground pepper. There we go. And a little bit of Worcester. There we go. Like 1/4 teaspoon. I don't know, there's just something about Worcester that just makes it taste good. Look at that. That chicken's actually already starting to break apart. Lots of good healthy veggies. Definitely not a low carb meal, especially by the time we put the biscuits on top. There we go. All right, let's give it a taste. See if we actually need anything. Nope. That's good. All right. So I'm going to let this simmer. Then I'm going to pour it in this dish, and it's just going to hang out here for a couple hours until we're actually ready to finish cooking dinner. We are doing dinner, guys. So, our mix is in here. It's been going for probably about 40 minutes, and it's like super, super bubbly. Now we're going to crank the oven up because we need to make the biscuits to go on top. So don't judge. We're using the cheater mix. Just add water. Now these get cooked at 450 for a nonstick pan, 425 for a lightly greased cookie sheet. We're going to put the oven up to 425. Now if you've ever done biscuit topped anything in the oven, you can't put the biscuits on whatever's cold because the bottom will actually still be raw when you're ready to eat it. Now this calls for just a half a cup of water. And now we're just going to mix it up. We're just going to plunk a few biscuits down on that stew once the oven's ready. Okay, it is up to temperature and it is bubbling. All right, so hot food. Now it's not really a chicken pot pie because I'm not putting a crust on. We're just making biscuits. All right, so I'm gonna pop this in the oven. We'll set the timer for 10 minutes and then dinner will be ready. Alrighty, dinner is ready. There we go, guys. Now, you can make them darker if you want to, but you know, this works. Now, of course, this is still screaming hot, but just to show you, the biscuits are totally cooked. You see that? Now, if you don't have like the little Bisquick mixes, or if you haven't got a box, you know the tubes of biscuits? Perfect for this. Same thing though. Get them hot and then cook them based on the directions for the biscuits after this is all hot. There we go. Ta-da! Check that out. Doesn't that look good? It does look good. I'm not lying. It does look, and it smells so good. Yeah, I am messy plater. Do I care? No. This smells great. So this is the first meal with that whole thing of chicken. Oh, I wonder what we're going to get. All right, we're going to eat, watch a movie. See you guys tomorrow. Meal number 2, guys. So we're kind of doing just a one-pan rice meal. It's like a hamburger helper with chicken. Okay, first thing is we've got half of one of those red onions because, you know, gotta have flavor. So we're just gonna lightly saute these up. And we're gonna chop up those 2 tomatoes. All right, there's the first one. I'm trying to put them in almost at the same time so they have a chance to like cook down a little bit. Here we go, there's the second tomato. Now I've done this before with raw meat, and in that case I'd put ground beef or fresh chicken and I'd cook it first. But this case my chicken's already cooked, so I'm going to start with the veggies. We got some of our stock out of the fridge and our Italian herb blend. And we're going to be using rice. Put that in now so it has a chance to really, you know, smell good. I'm also going to be using one of my small jars of pizza sauce. Normally you put tomato sauce in, but I'm going to use this and I'll just add a little bit of extra water just to thin it down to help cook the rice. Oh, look at all the steam coming out of those tomatoes. All right, let's add the rice. So I'm just adding a little bit over a half a cup of rice, not a lot. Okay? Yeah, I should have washed it first. You're supposed to wash your rice. I didn't wash my rice. So we're going to add 1 cup of our chicken stock. And that'll melt in because see how it's a little bit jelly? There we go. Oh, it smells so good. I'm just saying. Add in our technically pizza sauce and a jar of water. There we go. Now you notice I still haven't put the chicken in because I don't want the chicken to completely fall apart. I'll be putting the chicken in at the end before I put a little bit of cheese on top. But I'm going to go get the lid, bring this up to a boil, pop the lid on. We're going to let it cook probably about 20 minutes. Okay, so the rice is done. I did take the lid off so I can kind of get a little bit more of the liquid off. Did take it give it a taste, so we're going to give it a little bit of kosher salt and just a quick little shaky of a little bit of black pepper. So I kind of did a little bit of a choppy chop. It's a little under a cup, I would guess, give or take. There we go. And I just turned the low broiler on in the oven because we're going to put some cheese on this and we want the cheese to melt. All right, we're going to give this probably about 2 or 3 minutes while I go grab the cheese. There we go. I think that's kind of settled in a bit. Now I've got some grated Armstrong triple cheddar. I'll learn how to talk later. There we go. Now I know this will melt if I just put the lid on it, but I have the broiler on because I want some of that, you know, I don't know, broiled taste to it. All right. Okay, oven-proof pan. Keywords, guys. Oven-proof. There we go, guys. Dinner is ready. Nothing fancy, nothing hard, just tasty stuff. One of the simplest meals you can do with just leftover ground beef. 10-15 minutes prep time. Took a little over half an hour total time to cook. All right, so we're going to dish this up and have dinner. Well, time to start dinner for tonight. And tonight we're going to be using one of the carrots and part of the cabbage that came in our Too Good To Go bags. Now, I've decided tonight we're just going to make simple coleslaw and just barbecue chicken sandwiches. Why not? We'll grate up the carrot. Actually, I'm going to grate the carrot right into the bowl. I'm going to make my life easy. Georgia's making a little bit. I'm not going to make a whole bunch of coleslaw because, you know, it is just us. And we'll grab a chunk of cabbage. You know, when I do this with cabbage, I always wish I had, have you ever seen one of those big cleaver type knives that they have when they make like Japanese soba noodles and stuff? Oh, can you imagine? Wicked sharp. Very cool looking knives though. All right. I think we'll start going this way. Now, of course, I could have been a smart person and pulled like the mandolin out and done this in like 10 seconds, but cleaning that thing is also a pain. And I didn't feel like cleaning it, so I'm just going to do it this way. But coleslaw, Great way to use up cabbage, I'm just saying. I am just making cheater coleslaw. Nothing too fancy. A little bit of mayo. A little bit of lemon juice. And I'm going to put a little bit of celery salt in. Normally I'd put celery seed, but we're going to put some celery salt. Smells so good. So this stuff here, just so you guys know what I did, I put the tops of the celery that we grew, all the leaves, in the dehydrator. And then I put them in and I put them through the food mill, not the food mill, the spice grinder. And I just added a little bit of salt. And it smells so good. Just saying. There we go. Cheater coleslaw. That's it. All right. So what I got, some chicken and rib barbecue sauce. And I kind of did a rough chop on some of our chicken. So that's enough for 2 sandwiches. So I'm just going to warm this up. Did I turn the burner on? Yes, I did. Once this is warmed through on a nice low heat, I'm going to put it on a couple of toasted buns. And we have coleslaw in the fridge. So crazy easy dinner. Okay, so here's Freddie's plate. Coleslaw, some of those little tomatoes we picked up at the Summerside Butcher Shop. These things are so good. And the bun. The chicken is warmed through with some of the barbecue sauce, and literally that's it. A quick little barbecue chicken sandwich. And dinner. Haha. She's served. That's all she wrote. Okay. We have enough chicken for one more meal. Believe it or not, one more meal. And we'll make that one in the morning. I'm thinking I just might make some, chicken vegetable soup because we have cabbage, carrots, potatoes, and the bigger rutabaga left. I probably won't use it all. Maybe just the carrots and the potatoes and the cabbage. I don't know. We'll figure it out tomorrow. I have coffee. It is very, very early. The sun's not even really up yet, but let me show you what we have left. We actually have a fair amount of chicken left. Now, last night we made the barbecue chicken. So if you were feeding a family of 4, you wouldn't have this much chicken left, of course. All the other meals that I made will feed a family of 4. So meal number 3 was just a 2-person meal, but you would still have a fair amount of chicken left if you had made 4 of those sandwiches. And also if you had made more coleslaw, because we have a lot of cabbage and a lot of carrots left. I have got a big container of stock and a whole bunch of veggies. So I talked to Fred and he just said, let's just make soup. And this will end up being a freezer meal. So we're going to make a freezer meal soup. Should we use the red onion or the yellow onion? Decisions. I think we're going to use the yellow onion because we're making soup. All right, I'm going to start cleaning these veggies up. And the only thing that's not going in the soup right away is going to be the chicken because I don't want it to fall apart completely. Okay, we'll put a little bit of oil in the pot. So we have a yellow onion. And I pulled a couple of those little center stalks from the one celery that I have in the fridge because, I don't know, it always just tastes good in soup, I guess. Saute these up. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to use this entire container of chicken stock. There we go. But I'm also going to fill this up halfway with some water. Yeah, we'll pop the carrots and the potatoes in now. So, carrots and potatoes. I'm also going to be putting some of the peas in this from the freezer, okay? All right, now that these are in, let's get the cabbage cut up. Now I'm not using all of the rest of that little cabbage. I still have about a third of that cabbage left. So maybe we'll make some fried rice or something in a couple of days. I don't know, is that enough peas? That's probably enough peas, I think. All right, now this is on just medium. So we'll get some seasonings in here. Bay leaves, of course. More bay leaves than we put in the stew. It's a bunch of actual little ones. That's probably a lot of bay leaves for a lot of people, but when I make soup, I don't know, I just kind of like it that little bit more. A little bit different flavors from when we made the pot pie, because this time we're going to be putting rosemary in and a little bit of thyme. So actually more rosemary than thyme in this one. And a good spoonful of garlic powder. All right, I'm gonna let this start simmering. Make sure all my veggies are cooked. And we'll taste it for seasoning. We will probably put some Worcester in it as well, because Worcester in soup just tastes good. Haven't decided yet. If I need to, I also have a stock cube that I can pop in. Because if you notice, there's still no salt in this other than the little bit of salt that was in the stock when we cooked it. This will probably take on medium, I don't know, about a half an hour. Well, there we go. Oh, all right, let's take a taste. I know I'm going to add a little bit of water, but the veggies have added, I'll learn how to talk later, a lot of flavor, but I am going to put a stock cube in just to give it that little extra. Which also means that I probably won't be adding any salt, but I will be adding pepper. There we go. And I'm going to go grab the Worcester. Now, if there are people out there that have never put Worcester in like soups and stews, that little bit of acid that you get from Worcester sauce, I don't know, I don't know how to describe it. It's the same way as when I make chili and things. I do put a tiny bit of Tabasco, but not enough that it's going to be too hot for Fred. Oh yeah, there we go. Alrighty, yeah, this is cooked. So tonight, I'm going to shut this off. So later on tonight, before, we have dinner, I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to add a little bit of extra water, and then I'll dump the chicken in. We will probably eat this for the next couple of days. So it easily would feed 6 to 8 people by the time I add the extra water in the chicken. So I was going to make it as a freezer soup, but nah, we're just going to eat it. All right. Okay, time to finish getting ready for work. All right, work is done for the day. So I added probably about a cup of water. I put a little bit of salt and pepper in there, and it's just barely starting to warm up. But we're going to put in the last of the chicken. That's it. That's all of it. There's our last meal with the chicken, guys. So this is going to be 2 meals plus some for us. So tonight we'll have this. Tomorrow night, though, we're going to do one more meal. Yes, you heard that right. We're going to do one more meal because we still have some veggies. So what I did is I pulled a little bit of pork out of the freezer, and tomorrow we're going to make pork fried rice. So out of the package of chicken and the 2 bags, we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 meals because the soup's going to count as 2. That's not bad. Okay, it is our final meal with at least our cheap veggies. We're going to make just some simple fried rice tonight. We're going to use the rest of the cabbage and the last 2 of the, getting a little soft there, carrots. But I like to also marinate the meat beforehand. So it's 7 a.m. We're not going to be cooking until tonight, of course. So we're going to put a little bit of soy. Not a lot. There we go. A little bit. So I'm going to get the lid back on. This little bit of this garlic and ginger paste that I have. I got to be careful with this because it's pretty strong stuff. There, that should be good enough, I think. A little bit. If I can get the lid off. There we go. Tiny bit of sesame oil. Just a little bit. This stuff's potent. Tiny bit. Tiny bit. There we go. Give this a bit of a stirry first. Now these are just the pork stir-fry strips that I got at the superstore. Regular price is $5 and I paid $2.50, so. All right, last thing is some cornstarch. All right, so I'm gonna put this in the fridge. I'm gonna cook the rice because when you make fried rice, cold rice always seems to, you know, work better. The last meal, even though we're not using chicken, we're using the vegetables. So there is our marinated pork. There we go. So we'll cook that up first. Now, I do the ultimate cheater fried rice. A little bit of that ginger garlic paste, Worcester, and soy sauce. That's it. A little bit of salt and pepper depending on the flavors that I'm after, or, you know, stuff like that. And of course, our cold rice. Now the pork is not cooked yet, but I'm going to put the cabbage in. So this is the rest of that little cabbage, which, to be honest, unless I'm making a full-blown stir fry, that's usually all I do. But I also put the non-floppy parts of the carrots. I just grated them. Now I say non-floppy is because they were the last couple of carrots and they were getting pretty soft. All right, so I'm just gonna cook these so the pork is cooked through. Yeah, it's been a long day. And then I'll come back and we'll put the rest of this together. All right, a little bit of garlic ginger paste. All the liquid from the veggies are in there, so I'm gonna try and get the rest of that out. Now, a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of Worcester now. I don't know, I've always liked it if I put those two before I put the rice in, and then put the rice in, and then put more. This is just the way I like fried rice. So far from a traditional anything, but it's still tasty. That's all I care about. And time for the rice. So I cooked basmati rice for this. And yeah, not as much rice as everything else. The main reason is, one, I like this fried rice with a lot more veggies. And two, it helps with my blood sugar. So not a ton of rice is actually a good thing for me. Alright, soy sauce. Too much. Do I care? No. Worcester sauce. Now this probably seems like a really weird combination, but for me growing up, this was our comfort food, and it always had ground beef in it, not pork. So, hey, comfort food works for me. Alrighty guys, there we go. The last dinner we're gonna make with the Too Good To Go bags. Well, forgive me now. First of all, I am very tired today. I do not know what. It just seems like I haven't stopped all day. But anyway, thought I'd talk about the challenge. Now, I did that on a whim. When I did the shopping last, I checked the Flash Food app like I always do, see if there's something cool, and I saw those 2 bags. So this whole challenge was totally on a whim. I intended the challenge to cost about $20 because I planned on using one of those chickens that were sitting in the freezer. Turned out the whole challenge cost me $16. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Anyway, we can add $2.50 for the cost of the pork that we used. And to be honest with you, I did not use everything from those 2 Flash Food bags. That little turnip, it's still sitting in the fridge. So I'm thinking I might mash that up tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure yet. The squash, we're actually having that tomorrow. So I'm going to cut off. Now, don't forget, that had that little mark on it. So I'm going to cut that chunk off, and I'm just going to, turn it into a bunch of little half moons. I'm just going to bake it in the oven. It'll be fabulous. Like, seriously, it'll be really, really good. There's still 2 red onions left. Don't know what I'm going to do with those yet, but they're onions. They'll last a while. And there's still some fruit. I still have 1 mango and 2 clementines, I think, and a couple of apples. And it has now been officially an entire week. So the way I look at it, if you can get a protein on a really good sale price, and if you can, I can hear Yuki, sorry, and you can get a couple of really good Flash Food bags, you could seriously make some really, really great meals. Now the soup, we ate that 2 days. The soup, the second day, we seriously ate too much of it. Oh my goodness. I could have easily had a massive bowl for lunch. That would have been yesterday. Yeah. It was just too much. But it still tasted good. Oh yeah, speaking of chicken, I still have probably about 1.5 cups of stock left too. Now the stock that I'm going to be making some like a crock pot meal tomorrow night. So I'm just going to put that in the crock pot with everything else. So it's not going to go to waste either. But anyway, the point is, it was done on a whim. I wanted to see what I could make literally on the fly with cheap meat and cheap fruits and veggies. Even though we didn't really talk about the fruit was strictly for snacks for me, because that's a whole other conversation. In the new year, no, I'm not officially making a New Year's resolution, but in the new year, I really need to concentrate more on my breakfast and my snacks because I'm just failing. Just failing, but that's okay. $19. I'm going to round up because I don't 100% remember how much the chicken thighs were, but I got 6 fabulous dinners, relatively healthy too. So win-win, right? Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me this week. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate each and every one of you that do come back every week and watch my, silliness, because, hey, I'm just me. I do not sugarcoat and I do not primp, as you guys have been around for a while. No. Hey, today though, check that out. No Einstein hair. And in case you're curious, Einstein hair, literally, quite frequently my hair's doing that. Okay, folks, I'm going to call it a night because this chick's tired. And I'll see you next time as we continue our simpler life on PEI. Bye for now.